Before this podcast starts, I just wanted to come on and say I don't know why my mic was sounding like a big old robot in the podcast, but I didn't want to do a re-recording because I think we had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good topics. So hopefully you can kind of excuse my weird auto-tuned voice for just this podcast, and I will do my best to have it fixed for the next one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Over the Rainbow podcast. My name is Bobster, and today I'm joined, as always, by True North.
Hello.
And today we have our very first special guest, Cosmic.
Hey.
So, Cosmic, do you wanna kind of introduce yourself a little bit before we get started here?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Cosmic. I'm a tier 4 pleb. I'm 15, and I'm half decent at Rainbow Six.
I'd say that's pretty sufficient. Before we get into the topics for this week, I just wanted to address a lot of the comments that we got after the last video. So thank you to everybody who cleared up some things about the accounts. So a couple people had left comments saying that if you wanted to make another Siege account, you don't have to have a new phone number. You can have multiple accounts hooked up to the same phone number. You just need a new email, which makes sense. But and Hafwa Joshman actually said that you can buy a new account for $5, but the real investment is getting it to level 50, which I hadn't really thought about. But yeah, the new ranked level is 50, which makes it much harder to, I guess, farm accounts or make Smurfs as easy. Do you guys know how long it takes to go from level 0 to 50?
No.
I mean, I do have a Smurf. It probably. I mean, I did play quite a lot. It probably took me a couple of days playing, like maybe. I don't know. It took me about a week, probably playing like 2 hours a day on the account. I don't know. It was a decent amount of time.
For level 30 or for 50?
For 30, it took me about a week. I think it was probably 2 weeks for 50.
I guess
Maybe a
that
little bit
makes
longer.
sense. Yeah, so it's a lot more grindy.
Yeah.
Time.
So for tonight, our first topic that we're going to discuss is the best CTUs in the game, and that's just going to be our own opinions. So we each have our own opinions, and we might kind of divide it between the ops that came on release, so the standard CTUs like the GIGN, the GSG9, the FBI, the Spetsnaz, and who am I forgetting? There's all of them.
Those are an FBI. Did you say FBI?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's SAS, FBI, GIGN, Spetsnaz, GSG9. Those are all the original.
Okay.
Those are the original CTUs.
So we'll talk about that, and we might separate them from the DLCs, like I said. The next topic we wanted to get into was Flashbangs. I had left an account, or not an account, a comment on the Hardstuck Boys podcast Discord, so shout out to them. I listen to them. They're great. Keep doing what they're doing. Addressing Flashbangs and kind of just what their take on it, and I kind of wanted to hear North and Cosmic's take on it then, and then we'll get into some listener questions. But without any further ado, you guys want to get into the CTUs?
I think that Cosmic should go first.
I agree.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the best CTU would have to be FBI, because in today's meta, Ash and Thermite are pretty much must picks. Yeah, they're used a lot in the. Can we restart? I started a bit. Can we start again?
Start again. What?
Like, can we like, I don't know, cut like that part?
No, I'm leaving this in.
Come on.
Keep going.
This is staying in 100%.
Oh, come on, boys.
It's fine.
Just go.
This
Keep
is
going.
about as laid back as it's ever gonna be.
All right. So I think personally FBI is the best CTU. I mean, Ash and Thermite are must picks, and Castle, he's used quite heavily by teams like SSG, and you can never go wrong with a good intel up like Pulse. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think FBI is probably the best.
All right, North,
I think FBI is really good.
you wanna state
Like,
yours, and then we can kind of get into like
Oh, and then we have
rebuttals.
an argument.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are we just doing the original ops first?
Yeah. We can stick with them first, I guess.
Okay. For original ops, it's SAS all the way. Like, I think this is yours too, right, Bob?
Yeah.
We can team up on this one.
I
So
do agree on this one.
so I'll just like roughly say what I think, and then you go ahead. So, I mean, SAS on attack, you've got Thatcher. Okay, Thatcher, he's pretty much irreplaceable. Except maybe, I mean, Callie kind of does, but her she still plays different from Thatcher. Not gonna lie. But Thatcher is like ridiculous. He destroys everything with his little pocket EMP. And then you've also got Sledge, who has replaced Buck pretty much almost entirely right now. And then on defense, you've got Smoke, which is he's picked almost every single round on defense because he's so useful to deny plant. And then Mute, he's really good. He's not like anything too special, but he's really good to deny info. And all of them except for Thatcher have the SMG-11, so that's another thing that's kind of ridiculous. Like everyone has a good quote unquote secondary gun. But anyway, that's why I think they're really good.
I mean, like, I agree with a lot we said. I would now just kind of playing devil's advocate for my own pick here. I do also think the SAS are the best out of the starters. I think the only downside is they don't have a hard breacher, and the FBI is the only original CTU that has a hard breacher.
Sure.
So I think that is definitely a downside. But kind of going along with what you said, North, I think a big thing is Mute and Smoke are the rotate kings on defense. I mean, Castle is the super shorty now, but Mute and Smoke are making lots of rotates. They have the SMG-11, so they have a good kit in general. Mute has the Nitro. Smoke obviously has his canisters, which are really great for plant denial between the two of them. Mute's whole kit just kind of screams denial between the jammers and the C4. Sledge, I think, especially in this last season, and I kind of touched on this last episode, I think he's just become so much more prevalent with his hammer, and especially since he has nades, getting rid of indestructible utility. And then Thatcher, I mean, when he's not banned, he's extremely powerful. He's just one of the best operators right now at clearing stuff out. And he can usually do it from relative safety. Like, he doesn't have to be up close, kind of like Sledge does. So I think with the way that things currently shake out, the denial on defense and the ability to get rid of gadgets on offense just makes them a superior unit.
Yeah. Another thing about the FBI is that the two defense characters have the only choice between the UMP or the M10. So I mean,
true.
it's kind of a handicap.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, back in year one, the M10 was probably the best gun in the game. So.
Remember when Thermites would run that?
Oh yeah. And with the frags.
Oh, the frags. Oh, my baby.
I mean, I could see the FBI. The only, like, I mean, Pulse is good, but I just feel like he's honestly underpicked in, like, anything. Like, you don't see a whole lot of him in pro play, but he's still good. I mean, there's nothing against Pulse. I like playing him. I have a blast doing that.
Yeah, I do play him. Me specifically, I play him a lot in scrims.
Yeah, I mean, like,
He's a really good character.
yeah, I think he's underused, like, in a lot of situations. Kind of like a spot where you might not think about it, but I think he could be really good is, like, on pipes on consulate basement, because you can see if they're yellow stairs, yellow door, like even up into piano, just from playing that spot. If you know the push is coming from there. Just, I think he's used more vertically than horizontally, but I think he has some untapped potential there, potentially.
He is basically, he just has wall hacks, so I mean, can't get much better than that.
Yeah. So Cosmic, we'll move to the DLC ops now. So if you had to pick, in your opinion, the best DLC unit in this game, so anybody who's come with any operation at Black Ice and after, not Black Ice.
That was called Black Ice, but
Oh, was it?
they're called JTF2.
Oh. I was just dreaming of the skin. That's all.
No, the actual operation was called Black Ice.
I guess that makes
so.
sense. But Cosmic, what would be your pick for DLC ops as far as best CTU?
I mean, right now it has to be Steel Wave. I mean, with Malusi and Ace, Ace is pretty much just another hard breacher, but can open 3 walls that you can walk through. Malusi with 3 bulletproof gadgets. I mean, that's just gonna completely ruin comp when she comes out, in my opinion. I just think they're both super powerful and could. Ace will definitely help the 20-second meta, and Malusi will ruin it.
Do you think she'll have that much of an effect?
I think Malusi will make maps like Oregon and Theme Park so much more defender sided than they already are.
I feel like she's
I
kind
think
of
her
a niche pick, like a niche pick rather. Like I don't. I mean, I definitely think the nerf was good for her, but I don't think she's that great right now.
I think it's her in combination with like smoke with a shield, and then like Wamai with a shield, and then you got Jaeger, and then you've also got like Maestro. Like that is so much you have to clear, and then you have to clear the ADSs and Wamai discs before you can clear the shields, the mag or the shields, and then her little wubbies. I forget what they're called, and Maestro's cams. Like that's so much you have to do if you want to like not always be spotted by a bulletproof cam, or always have to deal with showing where you are all the time.
I mean, it's 11 flashbangs to get rid of all the ADSs and magnets.
That's crazy.
Then 2 bubbles you got to clear, potentially 2 deployables. Then you got to worry about smoke wasting time with 3 wubs on top of that. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
Gonna be crazy.
Like eventually, if that actually does happen, eventually what's gonna happen is teams are just gonna say screw it, not clearing utility, just going into site. Like, but then you're gonna be at a huge disadvantage because they have info on you.
I mean, isn't that pretty much what United's doing right now?
That is kind of true.
Yikes.
They're kind of like trying to avoid the utility, but
How's that working out?
see, it's not working out.
Looks like they're avoiding wins too.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow. Throwing one to the
no.
bus like that. So,
Oh my.
so North, what would be what's your pick for the best CTU DLC wise?
Well, I'm kind of torn between 2, but I'm gonna have to pick one. So I'm gonna go with SAT. So that's the Special Assault Team. That's the Japanese one.
Oh
Wait, is that what yours is too?
Yeah. Those would
Okay,
be
fine.
my
I'll
pick.
choose a different one. I'll choose a
Okay.
different one. I'll choose the other one. Okay, GEO, the Spanish one. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's just talk about Mira. Mira is ridiculous. Like she changed how the game was played. She changed how you could hold bomb sites. You could hold them from like different rooms even. Like you just set up a nice Mira, and you create a power position wherever you put a Mira, because you have one-way info into the next room, and then you can pre-fire through a wall. You can pre-fire around a corner because you can see them through the wall, which is ridiculous. And then, like Mira in herself makes the GEO like a really solid CTU. Then also on top of that, you have Jackal, who is banned in every ranked game for a reason. I think
Yeah.
because he is incredibly annoying to go against, especially if you're roaming. Now he's not that difficult in like comp or higher ranks, but he's still picked a lot, and he's still very useful. Like if you're concentrating on roam clearing, you bring Jackal, and that takes you like half the time to clear roamers because you know where they are. You just ping them, you just find their footprints and then ping them for like I don't know 20 seconds. And I think that's pretty invaluable. He also has smokes. I mean, smokes aren't that great right now, but they're still useful for getting plant down. And then both of them have secondary shotguns, which is very useful for creating rotates and opening holes in floors and walls. So they're very versatile in that sense as well. So, and then Jackal has the C7E, which is a dump truck of a gun. It just destroys people at any range. And then he's also got the PDW, which is also a very solid choice, which I think they should give to a different defender. Like, honestly, like that's a really nice gun that is not being used because the C7E is just better.
Is
So yeah.
to an attacker or defender?
I think a defender because it's an SMG, right? I wouldn't want to. I
Give it to
mean, let's
Jaeger.
think about it. At any no, Jaeger's fine. Just give it to like someone else, like a new operator.
Okay.
But like pretty much any attacker who has an SMG is kind of shit. Like Knock, she has an SMG and she's basically never used. Anyway, that's mine. Spanish GEO.
I mean, mine is the SAT. That's who I was gonna pick.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We're just on the same page. But
Same
I mean,
person.
the reason being, Habana on attack, she's a hard breacher. She's also a 3-speed. She has flashbangs. She's a she's a solid weapon. I mean, there's you can't go wrong with the supernova basically.
Wait.
I'm kidding. Type 21.
Back up.
Type 21. But like she's just I don't think there's ever really a site where you're or like you're ever gonna be like disappointed that somebody on your team picked Habana. I mean, I just think she's one of those operators that, yeah, there might be certain times where a thermite would be better, but she's never a bad option to have. I don't think ever. I mean, she can frag if she needs to with that weapon. Just remember to reload. Secondary bearing 9. I mean, it's seen some changes. Back on Xbox, used to just as soon as I was in the building, I was the only gun I used, the bearing 9, and it would just shred people. It was so much fun. I mean, also along with her kit, she has the flashbangs, which are super useful right now, clearing ADS magnets, stuff like that. And then to go along with her on defense, you have Echo, who is another one of those operators who's almost constantly banned, and for good reason. I mean, he has 2 essentially almost invisible cams that can give a lot of intel, and then he can also deny plant and win games from across the map, like Cosmic did a little while ago when we were playing ranked together.
Wait, what happened?
We were playing ranked together on, what was it, Consulate?
I thought it was Oregon. I could
It
be
might.
mistaken.
Oh yeah, it was Oregon. It was Oregon, and yeah, and I think it was actually Habano who was going for a plant, and you just ran across the map and stunned her. That was it,
Yeah, with like 30 seconds left, I was like, we have a lot of people on site, so I just dropped the hatch and went to the basement and sat on cams.
and it worked.
That's Echo.
It's a cheesy strat, but I mean it works, and he's good. I mean, he also has a pretty solid weapon with an ACOG, which is also good, and I think he's even better now that he's impacts. I mean, the deployable shield was maybe a nerf to him, but I think impacts are even better.
That's bold.
I'm just saying, I feel like
Wait,
I think it's
better
better
than
for the
shield.
No, I'm just saying I think it's better for the game. I mean, like it's better in certain situations because now for Planta now you don't always have to bring a smoke to make rotates. You can just bring an echo and you
You're
can do it.
you're wrong. I'm just sorry, Bob. You're just wrong.
That's my story.
Impacts are not better than a shield. Are
In
you
certain
crazy?
situations, I would argue that they are.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
Maybe.
They are good. I'm not trying to say that impacts are useless. Like, impact tricking is probably the strongest form of hard breach denial. But I mean, fighting someone from behind a deployable shield is probably the easiest way to get kills.
I mean, again, like you have these little slits, almost like Mira, where you can just see them, and it's really tough for them to see you because they're much farther away. I can understand where you're coming from, though, Bob. You know, I understand that in certain situations, maybe impacts would be better. Like if they're gonna open the wall and you deny that with your impacts, and it's like, oh yeah, then I'm glad I brought impacts or that I have impacts instead of a shield. But I would say majority of the time, I think a shield is better. But I can see your side. How about that? I'll concede.
So, going back here to our best CTUs here, if you had to pick the overall best CTU in the game, not taking into account the amount of operators in it, but just strictly what they bring to the table, like as I shouldn't say a collective unit, but if you had to kind of like put them in a tier list, what would be your S tier CTU? And you could only pick one. It can be It could be like one of the originals, or it could be a DLC. Just, but if you had to pick one, what would it be, Cosmic?
I think I'm gonna switch to the SAS. You guys definitely convinced me
Yeah.
with with uh I mean, smoke got a deployable shield, makes all the rotates, has the SMG-11, a mute, same deal, but it has a C4, and both have great gadgets. Not to mention, Thatcher has two great ARs. Obviously, Thatcher's ability. I mean, yeah, you guys really persuaded me.
I like it. I like it.
North?
For me, SAS as well. Like honestly, they're so good. They're just so good. They're ridiculous. Yeah, SAS. There's a reason why there's two S's in their name for S tier.
I honestly
That
think
joke.
I'm gonna stick with my other S name. I think I'm gonna stick with the SAT.
Another S, yeah.
I just think Habana and Echo. There's never a reason to not bring them. I mean, like, yeah, sure, there's only two people in the unit, but like, there's never a situation that I can think of when I'd be like, oh, why would you pick Habana? Like, no, like it's always just like, okay, good, like that's a solid choice. We can open up walls, lines of sight, whatever.
Edges.
I feel like there's a lot of just solid A tier units though. I mean, they might not
There
have
are.
everything to bring to the board, but they're still just kind of like good. Like I feel like I don't know what unit they are, but Gridlock and Mozzie. I mean, like, they're not always picked, but I just think they're just good. I mean, even like Wamai and Callie, Nomad and Cade, I just obviously like the GEO and stuff like that. But I feel like those kind of units are just there might not be people you see in every game, but when you do see them, you're not like complaining that somebody brought them. If that makes sense.
I think I would have to disagree with the Mozzie and Gridlock.
Really?
I mean, I think Mozzie lost he lost way too much when his shotgun was taken away.
Oh, I agree.
I think that just makes him hardly usable. If you want to bring someone who can frag, or someone to deny utility, or deny drones, which is what Mozzie does. I mean, I think it's just worth bringing the mute instead of the Mozzie. And if you want to frag, bring Doc or Jaeger. Personally, I just don't think Mozzie has very many uses anymore.
I agree. If you want Mozzie, just bring Mute instead. I don't think there's room for both either. I think it's one or the other right now. I think Mute's the stronger one.
I would honestly say, like, just I'm going the complete other direction here. Like, if you wanted to deny drones, you want to frag or bring Vigil.
That's different though. That's different.
I mean, but like,
Different denying of drones.
but I mean, it's similar concept, and he has a much better gun. Not much
does, he
better.
has
I mean,
really
the
good
Commando's
gun.
still good, but I think the
He's
K1A
got
is better, and he's got impacts for like quick rotates and stuff. I don't know.
Just bringing up the word rotates just gives me flashbacks
To
when
what?
talking about Mozzie.
Oh yeah, sad piece. So while we were talking about the like the CTUs for we'll just do the originals, because I think if we did all of them it would be way too long. Well, we can if you guys really want to, but so we talked about the SAS, we talked about the FBI. What about the other three? What do you guys think is the I mean, I feel like everybody would kind of agree with us, but what are the handicaps of, we'll start with the GIGN. Like what prevents them from being the best CTU in the game?
They're pretty much all fat for one. They're all really fat. They're all 3 armors except for Twitch. I think I think Rook is kind of doesn't really have a place. I mean, and Doc in kind of the same vein with the one headshot mechanic. Like, I think they're just kind of like they kind of represent what Ubisoft when they didn't really know what the game was going to be. Because they honestly, I've heard like them talk like early on in the game, and they didn't even know if people were going to go for headshots all the time. That's why like Rook existed, because you just give yourself more armor, basically, right?
Yeah.
But that's basically pointless because everyone's just shooting each other in the head most of the time.
And that's why Blackbeard was super overpowered on
Yeah,
release.
exactly, because they were like, oh, he's probably not going to be that overpowered. And it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
you've made a mistake. I think that's one of the main things. It's just their abilities, especially on defense, are kind of just like, with the headshot mechanic, it's not that great.
Cosmic.
I think, well, just for GIGN,
Yeah, just for them, for now.
I think Monty really carries that CTU. I think Monty is very, very strong, and Monty is very dangerous in the hands of a good player, which I know firsthand from scrimming you, Bob. Uh, it's not fun to play against your team on Monty. It's just Monty is very, very controlling and changes the way you have to defend because you can't shoot him from the front.
Right.
I think Monty's very good, but I mean, other than that, the GIGN really doesn't have any other standout operators that we see consistently.
I mean, I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna say I miss Twitch. I have a lot of hours on her back on my Xbox account. I used to play her all the time. Her and Habana I had, I think, over 2 days on a piece of playtime. But I mean, I honestly think she's kind of just fallen off. Yeah, her drone can be useful, but I think with the new, I think the thing that hurt the drone the most was the sound of it. Like the sound of the Twitch drone now is so distinct and it's louder, I think, than other drones. Like I can pick it out across the room and be like, okay, they have a Twitch. And I miss her 20 tases, but I understand why they took it out. I just think that she doesn't bring enough to the table to justify her being a support operator. And her gun, yeah, you can still shred people with it, but it's not as good as it used to be. So I think she's not good enough to be a fragging operator. So she's kind of just like at this weird spot where it's like, why pick her? If you can't use her to support your team and you can't use her to necessarily frag as well, why not play somebody like just Ash instead, or Sophia, or Sledge, or Buck, or just somebody?
Like whenever I've been in a game and there's like a Twitch drone, and I know there's a Twitch drone, it's so easy to deal with. You just shoot it once and it's boom, it's done. Like you just dealt with half of her utility. It's like, oh, she's got another one, but now we know it's there. Just watch all the drone holes or watch all the doors. And as soon as you're like, oh, there's a Twitch, and then you hunt the drone down, you kill it, and that's it. And her utility is wasted. And like, when's the last time like a Twitch has really done anything in terms of her getting rid of utility? Like maybe she gets one piece of utility and then the drone gets shot.
Yeah, I mean it's not a good trade. I don't know how to fix it, but I just don't
I don't know
think
either.
I don't think she I think she's kind of obsolete.
I have an opinion on how to buff her a little bit. I mean, this
Go
won't
for it.
put her back like into the must pick operator, but if we stuck with the infinite charges thing like she has now, but there wasn't any like the way it works now is after you use 3, you gotta wait for 1 to charge back up. But if you could just not have to wait for them to charge and just have infinite, I think that would make her a lot more useful.
But you
And
still have
of
like the
course,
cooldown like between them, like between tases.
yeah, still have like the 2-second cooldown and still have it do 1 damage, so you can't just kill everyone with it.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely help like clear out mute jammers, Mozzie pests, like bandits, mirrors, stuff like that.
I also I don't think she should be able to shoot Goyo shields, but I think she should have some interaction with Malusi. I do think that she should be able to zap the thing and then zap it a second time to destroy it.
Kind of like Maestro.
Yeah. I still think it should like open up. But that's just me.
Work.
Alright, so we'll leave the spawn peeking brothers, the shield guy, and Twitch behind. So then we'll go to let's go to the GSG9. I
Oh, we're saving
personally,
the best for last. Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think the GSG-9 was originally like intended to be just like a fragging unit. Like
They're good.
the GIGN were like more of a support unit in the GSG-9, but I think the obvious thing here is Blitz holds them back.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like,
Absolutely.
Jaeger's good, Bandit's good, IQ's good. There's no reason to. I mean,
All three
Bandit,
are, I would argue, great. I
yeah,
think
I mean,
those three are great.
Bandit's maybe more situational than Jaeger and IQ because
I
you don't
agree.
really need a Bandit on certain sites. But, um, like,
Even IQ is situational too. Like if they don't have
yeah,
an Echo or a Valkyrie, you may as well not bring her.
I mean, but like Blitz is just like, like if you pick Blitz, people laugh at you. But
Yeah.
there's one or two times where it's like you see a Blitz charging at you and like whether you miss a shot or he's just too close at the point, then you kind of become helpless. But 9 times out of 10, you're killing him before he even gets close to you. And if he does get close to you, you're knifing him through his shield on his shoulder as he crouches, as he swings. Like playing as a shield, especially Blitz, is not fun. Especially like where things I just feel are inconsistent.
Yeah, he's really inconsistent.
I think Blitz is pretty useless unless your name is Mint. He can do crazy things with that op, but I think just flashes in general are too inconsistent for Blitz to be useful.
We'll talk about flashes. Um, so do you guys have anything else to add for those guys?
Really, everyone but Blitz is good.
Yeah. And finally, the Spetsnaz.
Oh,
There's there's a lot of setbacks here, but
it's really good.
I think depending on how it goes, the rework to Tachanka could move them straight to the top if he's as good as we've seen from like the release footage.
I don't think anyone can help Fuse or
I don't
or
think
Glass. It's just so bad.
Glass is awful. Like he used to be so good and so much fun to play. Like when he can see through smoke, like you could just destroy people. And I get why that was broken. Like I agree that it was broken, but now he's back to where he was, just completely arbitrary. And but like I have a soft spot in my heart for Capcan. I think Capcan's fun to play. Um, he has a C4. He has a good gun. Cosmic, you can't change my mind on that. I think his gun's just good.
Wait, does Cosmic not like the Russian submachine
No,
gun?
he doesn't think it's a good gun.
It's pretty good.
I'd rather use the sausage 12.
Oh my word.
No, the 99 is a good gun. Um, but like, I think Capcan, like, he's fun to play. I mean, maybe not in ranked, but maybe he's like somebody just kind of throw in just to throw off the enemy, just make him slow down. But I really wish Fuse would just like. I feel like he just has so much potential, but it's just not there. And I think he needs to be a 2-2 or a
If he was
or a
2-2,
2-3.
he would automatically be played a lot more than he is right now. I
think the
guarantee you.
worst- didn't mean to cut you off there, but I think
No,
the
go ahead.
the worst part about Fuse, in my opinion, is the fact that he can only use the Russian sites.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. I think that is the biggest setback for the entire CTU.
Biggest?
Yeah, like the
We're
fact that
missing
you have to
Tachanka?
use those sites.
That's pretty bad though. Their sites are bad.
Like, why? Why not make it an option? Why make it a requirement? Like, would it be that hard?
I think they were probably going for more realism.
Yeah, and I get
Which-
that, but
yeah.
look at the other operators they've added in. I feel like
I know,
realism has
I know.
kind of gone out the door a little bit.
I mean, again, this was them early development, or like early game stage, and they were like, "Oh, it's gonna be a realistic shooter." And meanwhile, now we've got people who are going invisible on cams. Like,
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's not the same game anymore.
it's pretty much just how fast can you click and how many times can you hit your shift key.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think that's a setback. I think Fuse had, like Cosmic was saying, had decent sights, or like the normal sights. He was a 2-2 or a 2-3, like I said last episode.
Yeah.
And this might be too far, but What would you guys think about replacing his smoke grenades with frags?
He'd have so many grenades.
That's
Including
what
his
I'm
gadget.
saying. Like, and I think he's actually supposed to get another cluster charge.
He is. He's getting another
Can you
one.
imagine that? 4 cluster charges. How many do they shoot? 5 grenades each.
I think so.
So he would have 22 grenades.
That would definitely fix the 20-second meta.
Exactly. So that's how they fix it. Buff fuse. Hashtag buff fuse. Now trending on Twitter.
I mean, for one spot, an example, like if you bring a fuse on Sunrise Bar, on attacking Sunrise Bar, the spot where the Wamai is always playing next to the default plant spot in Sunrise, I mean, you can clear that easily. You can clear all the ADSs with fuse if you use that, and maybe if you get lucky, blow up a shield.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. You have to get lucky because the grenades just bounce everywhere. Like even like there's a distinct pattern of how they launch out. But even if you like are like, oh, it's gonna shoot this way, so we're gonna be fine. They just freaking bounce anywhere they want. They don't care. The little hockey pucks, they run around. And so it's so annoying because you have to get lucky. That's the thing with him. Also, it's kind of too unpredictable.
And again, he's just so vulnerable when placing them down. That's just another big setback.
I've heard people
There's-
say like that he should be able to throw them. I don't think he should be able to throw them. I think that would be awful. I mean, I imagine
Wait, throw what?
like his cluster
gadget?
charges. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, imagine like Ying, but with grenades.
Oh, you mean like just chuck it into a room?
Well, not necessarily that, but like maybe not that mechanic. But people said he should be able to like throw them onto walls or ceilings. I think ceilings would be so broken. I mean, like it's bad enough if like, say you're playing cocktail on cafe and like a bot comes underneath and you're forced off your position. But imagine you get cluster charges beneath you, and now the entire area around you is exploding.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you could do it. You could do vertical play from below to up top.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Because I was
feel
gonna
that
say
would be
like
too much.
I thought you were saying like it'd be overpowered if you could just throw it, but I see. If you do that, then it kind of changes how we can be played as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's an interesting thought.
I don't agree with that.
What do you
I
think?
that would not be
You
fun.
don't agree? You don't think so?
No. Imagine getting
That could
cluster
be
charge from
interesting.
the floor beneath you.
I mean, I feel like you could shoot it though. Like you could shoot it in time if you were paying attention.
It's so if you're sitting like on cams, right?
Yeah, if you're sitting on cams, then you're
And
kind
you
of
don't
screwed.
hear it get mounted to the floor beneath you. And we'll say,
Oh,
for
yeah.
example, you're playing theme park, right? You're playing theme park. You're defending daycare, and Fuse goes beneath, and he throws a charge up, and all of a sudden, it's going off beneath you. But you're on cams, so you can't hear it. But you know that the ceiling above you is hard because it goes to the outside. But all of a sudden you die from a cluster charge that was beneath your feet, and all he had to do was hop in Barrel's window and yeet it up to the ceiling.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if that's the answer. Interesting.
In order for that to work, I think you need to make it have a very like loud noise and long detonation time.
Mm-hmm. But then I think then he wouldn't be good anymore, because then you would have like so much more of a heads up on like where to run or when to run rather.
Well, you could still clear tons of utility from below. Like for example, cafe on third floor, the shield that some teams will put in freezer, you can clear that easily. You won't be able to get pixel because it's a hard floor underneath of it, but shields that some people put at like new hatch drop, you can easily cluster charge that one out. I don't know. I think he'd still have his uses.
That's fair. So do you guys have anything else to add to the CTUs? I don't think we need to go through all of the DLC ones. I feel like that would be a long time.
No, we don't need to do that.
Um,
I don't have anything else to add.
so let's this doesn't have to be a long subject, but the flashbang changes. I sent you guys the link before we started here. But I'll just read it for anybody who doesn't know. It's only scheduled to come into the end of this year, I think. Year 5, season 4. And it's on the Ubisoft dev blog. It's called Improved Flash Detection / Consistency, and it says the rework intends to make flash detection more reliable Enemies are often not affected by flashes due to objects and obstacles. We want to
Excuse me.
simulate the light ricochet with the environment to guarantee the effectiveness of flashbangs and other similar gadgets. I had asked this question, as I stated at the beginning of the podcast, on the Hardstuck podcast, and they were saying that they agree that with my point that I feel like flashes are mostly just used to clear utility. Like if you're bringing flashbangs, you're clearing them to clear an ADS or to clear a magnet, so you can use something else to destroy mostly indestructible things, like an ash charge to get rid of a castle barricade or an evil eye or a shield or whatever. But I feel like flashbangs, as their original intended purpose, don't do that good of a job, because if somebody throws a flashbang at you, what are you going to do? You're going to turn around, and most of the time it's not going to flash you unless it's right at your feet.
And even if you don't turn around, sometimes it just doesn't flash you.
Exactly, because you're behind a book that's standing up on a desk.
Yeah. They're super inconsistent to use them to try and blind someone. That's just the way it's been since the game has come out, pretty much. I don't think there's ever been a time when like flashes were like, oh my goodness, they blind me from across the map. Like, I don't think that has ever really happened. Like, they've never been overpowered in that sense. But they've always kind of been like, oh, that's weird. Why didn't he get blinded? I threw it right at him.
Yeah, I'm not saying
So
please don't make them overpowered, but like maybe make
neither
them
am I.
more. I think what they have scheduled
Useful.
here is a good idea.
I just want to make them more consistent, which is important. Consistency means a lot in an online shooter, because if you have things that are inconsistent, then you're risking the integrity of like the competitive scene, and even like casuals they're like, why does it work sometimes but not other times? Like, either it should work or it doesn't work. That's what it should be, but it's kind of tough to make it that consistent.
I think definitely they need to make it more consistent, but I'd like to see something as consistent as CS, so where if you're always like if you're not looking at it, then it'll never flash you. And I think that is pretty fair, because I mean you can get flash assists like are very common in CS, where you just throw a flash in and you make the other player turn around or they're blind. And I mean I'd like to see that used more often in R6, but I mean it just can't with how inconsistent the flashes are.
Like, I've seen some players, what they do is they throw in a flash and then immediately peek, like before the flash goes off, just because the other person's probably looking away. But I mean, like you said, it's not really used very much, and it's not used much to actually get kills. It's used to clear utility.
Just opinions.
Oh yeah.
So do you guys wanna get into some listener questions? Or actually,
Good. Oh yeah. Sorry.
we wanted to start a new segment here on this podcast.
Called True North's sweat towel. Just
Yeah.
joking.
Yeah. We wanted to start a new segment on the podcast where we kind of talk about maybe some operators, tactics, weapons, strategies that kind of go under the radar. And I honestly am blanking on the name we came up with 20 minutes ago, or probably much longer. Than
Oh
that.
no. There we go.
What's
Missed
that? Cosmo?
opportunities.
Missed opportunities.
Missed opportunities. Thank you. That's kind of embarrassing, but missed opportunities. And
Kinda.
this week we thought we would kick off this little series with Alibi, and just kind of maybe describe her a little bit for people who don't know what she brings to the table, or aren't fully aware of all of her uses, or I guess just like in depth how her gadget works, and then talk about maybe why she's overlooked in Siege. Do you wanna kind of talk about that, Cosmic, since you had mentioned it before?
Sure. So really why Alibi is so useful, even though she is underrated, is because she brings a deployable shield, a secondary shotgun, and a great primary weapon. I mean, that's a very good combination of weapons. Like always good to have high fire rate and a secondary shotgun. And she's a good fragger with her being a 3-speed. She brings the utility with the deployable shield, and her gadgets can give a lot of intel. So
I think a big thing was before we even started the podcast, we were talking about who we wanted to do for this missed opportunities segment. North was like super surprised. He's like, "Wait, she's got a deployable shield? Like, really?"
Mhm.
And I primarily use the impact grenades just when I play her because I just kind of run around and roam with her. But I think like her gun, yeah, it's definitely overlooked. But her prismas as a whole, I think a really good kind of spot for them can be right on the other side of a barricade, more so for a window. Because if you want to get rid of it, you either have to vault into a different window and shoot it, or you have to vault into the prisma and shoot it. Like if you kind of have it to where the tip of the gun is just touching the barricade, if somebody goes to shoot open the barricade, they're going to hit the prisma, you're going to know they're outside. You can either run out on them or just have that information. And if you know that they're inside, you know they've already shot the prisma. So you have that information that, hey, the defenders are in whatever room, or the attackers are in whatever room at this point. And the bailiff it's all right at opening holes and maybe some small rotates or hatches.
Actually, I might say it's not great.
It's okay.
But it does the job.
Yeah.
If you have enough time.
In a pinch, it can do its needed. And
better than nothing.
She's also
Yes, better than nothing.
Yeah, I want to throw that in. She has a 3-speed, which is always a good thing.
Although never use the bailiff to shoot somebody with it. I think Young displayed that perfectly on that Canadian White Stairs round against Empire. It was like a 1v1 or like a 1v2 or something, and he whips out the bailiff. And as soon as he did that, I was like, oh no, it's over.
1v1. I'll never forget that round.
That round was
Canadian.
legendary.
I think the bigger choke though that round was definitely Geo.
What did he do? I didn't even.
Was,
I was always about Canadian, so I never heard about this Geo
I
thing.
think he was Valkyrie, but he was prone to generator.
Oh yeah, and shooting at White Stairs. I remember that.
Yep, missed an entire mag.
It's unlucky.
Tragic.
That was just a series of unfortunate throws.
But do you guys have anything else to add to Alibi?
You guys said what's all good about her.
You guys
She is pretty underrated.
give her a shot more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what do you guys think of the new ACS 12? While we're talking about her.
Not tried it.
Really?
No. What is it? What's the difference?
It's a slug shooter
It's
now.
not-
Wait, what?
Yeah, where have you been?
Wait, no way. You
Yeah,
can
it
shoot.
is.
It has a slug, so you can shoot someone like kind of like the TCSG now.
Yeah,
Yep.
but think of it like a very
Dude.
low caliber pistol with an awful fire rate.
Dude. Wait. How good is it?
It's not good.
Oh.
It's kind
I'll
of
disagree.
It's fun. Like it's fun to use, but
Dude.
like if I'm picking between her Storm and the ACS 12, I'm picking the Storm every time.
Oh, 100%.
I think
Yeah,
it's
Same with Maestro,
it's
probably.
okay. It's honestly, I would compare it to the Ump with a slower rate of
Dude.
fire.
How much
I'd
damage
rather
does it
use
do?
it than. I don't know,
I
but
don't know actually.
Is it a lot or like kind of like TCSG? Like,
well,
No, nowhere near the
I would
TCSG.
I was messing around with it in customs with some of my friends, and it like from close range, it's a 2-shot kill. I mean, or close to medium range. Like on Oregon, from the master doorway to the master balcony, like the doorway between master and trophy, to the master balcony, it does 50 damage
Really?
from that range.
So it just has a big drop off then, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah. Although the fire rate is abysmal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to tap fire. That is horrible.
Like, I mean, you can literally just like count it off, just like bang, bang, bang. Like it's
Yeah. Bad. Like the TCSG can fire faster. You just click as fast as you can.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know they changed it to a slug. That's funny.
So with that being said, do you guys want to get into some listener questions?
Sure.
Specifically one that I think we could talk about for a good bit, or I guess Cosmic could talk about for a good bit. Um, this comes from YouTube. Oh, real quick, if you guys want to submit questions, you can either drop them in the YouTube comments or feel free to join our Discord. The link's always in the description. You can come in there and ask them. There's a tab for that. But Eagle2260 had commented, could you talk about what in your mind makes a good team and how a good team functions? I think Cosmic should definitely kick this one off.
Well, yeah, I think I can at least tell what not to do in teams, because I've only been on PC and focusing on comp for, I guess 2 years now, but it's really just with all the teams I've been on, like there's been a lot of mistakes made, and I think some of the biggest things is you need to have coordinated like callouts. You all need to like have specific calls for each area on a map, and I mean this is just some of the basic things. And also, I mean, you definitely need to scrim a lot. The best team I was ever on was Kazoku. We were probably a team for about a week. I won't get into why we disbanded, but we scrimmed every day for that week, probably 5 maps a day. And every team doesn't have to do that, but I mean we're all underage during the summer and had nothing to do, so it worked out well. And that scrimming built so much teamwork and so much improvement in comms in that short amount of time, that if we scrimmed like that for a month, maybe we could be competing in some bigger leagues. But I think those are some of the basic functions that a team should have.
Bob, you want to carry on?
Yeah,
I don't have too much to say.
I think the biggest thing is when you're starting to try and put together a team, like just say you have a group of friends, you want to put together a team, you got to quickly figure out that, like, okay, who's dedicated to this, who's committed to making this happen. And if you have some disagreements and some people are more dedicated than others, then that's a sign that it's probably not going to work. The first thing you got to do when you want to put a team together is you got to find dedicated people who share a similar mindset of how they want to play together. So if you're trying to put together a team, you have 3 guys who want to, okay, we're going to build some strats, we're going to figure out the best way that the site should be played, and then we're going to execute that. And you have 2 guys who are like, no, we're just going to run in and kill everybody every time. I mean, both of those strats might be fine, but if you're on different pages, then you're going to have 2 guys who run in with no support, no droning, and they die, and then you have the other 3 guys just kind of standing around like, what are we going to do now? And so I feel like you need to have a similar mindset of how you're going to do things, even before you start playing together. And like I said, with the whole commitment part, you got to have people who are willing to put in the work to get better with coordination, to get better with callouts, to get better with strategy, to get better with aiming, just basic things like that. A side note on top of that is, as I've noticed just playing on only a couple teams, a huge thing is people need to realize, if you're somebody who's new to the Rainbow Six Siege comp scene, you need to realize that you're not always going to be on a pro team or a CL team or the best team in whatever league you're part of. And that team never got there just by taking the 5 best players that they knew and throwing them on a team. You can have a team with 5 good people, but if you put in the work together to form that coordination, you can become a great team. Whereas if you take 5 great players who aren't willing to put in the work and don't care about scrimming several times a day, like Cosmic said, maybe not that much, but like even just scrimming several times a week, practicing things, going over stuff, they're going to get beat by that team of good players every day. I feel like a lot of people join teams expecting things to go great and they're automatically going to be the best team because they have the best players, but nobody's willing to put in that extra work to make sure that something actually comes out of it.
I agree. I think I don't know if you guys watched it, but uh, Drip or Yardy, he did a podcast with Suzaku or Zaku, and he was talking about how when Disrupt Gaming, when they got their spot in Pro League, when they knew about it, and they were scrimming other teams, like this was like 2 months or 3 months before Pro League was going to start, they were getting dumpstered by teams like DZ, like they were getting destroyed by teams like DZ or like even underage teams and stuff like that, and they were getting beat pretty bad, and people were on that team apparently were complaining about that and being like, how are we losing to these guys? We're so much better than them. But it's like they were not together for that long. They were together for maybe like a week or less, or maybe a little bit more. And then again, like look at them now. Look how good they are. They're standing their own against, like other teams, like even like SSG. Like they went to 3 maps with them. So I think it just takes time, honestly, and you just got to keep with it. You got to stick with it. You got to keep doing your best, keep working at it, and you'll get there eventually. I mean, again, if someone's holding you back, you got to do what you got to do. You can't just keep them on just because they're your friend or whatever. You got to tell them like, hey, improve on this, or else like we're gonna have to drop you and pick someone else up. So
I think an important rule when making teams is make your teammates your friends, not make your friends your teammates. It's it's so hard to build a team of your friends, and then when it comes time to you know wanting to improve, and someone's clearly lacking, if it's your best friend, then that can cause tons of drama. You know, I've learned from experience it ruins teams. And again, Bob, that's not a shot at your team, but it's just
No,
I've
I
found it
completely
better
agree.
to yeah I found it better to find new people and make them your friends instead of getting your friends and potentially hurting feelings when having to make roster changes.
agreed.
Yeah, that's just from some seasoned people there. I, my biggest thing is just people who come into a team expecting everything to be like top notch right away. I mean, there's like if you're somebody who's trying out for a team, you try out for a team and you don't win the scrim or you don't win the game or for some reason like something just doesn't go your way and people are like, oh well, forget this, I'm on to the next one. Like I have no respect for people like that. And a couple of people come to mind too. The first time they lose or they don't make the qualifiers, they just jump ship to the next team. Like you're never gonna get anywhere, and that's simply because people will slowly learn that hey, this guy has a reputation for dipping after we don't make quals or we don't make this league or we take second place, and that's not exactly somebody I would ever want to be. Maybe that's something somebody else would, but that's not me. I think people need to realize that it's never going to be handed to you. You have to work for stuff. You have to work to build that bond between your teammates to where you can call out what you want to do and people just kind of react and do it without even thinking just because you've practiced it so much and you're on that same wavelength. It's just that team chemistry. It's not something that just kind of happens naturally. Yeah, it might start there naturally, but it's also built.
All good points.
Do you have anything else to add, Cosmic?
Really just roster moves. They're a touchy subject, and I've been through a lot of them. Some I've been cut. I've cut people. It's it's just it's always not a positive thing. Like the team I'm on, we had to make some roster decisions recently, and we kicked one of the players that started out making the team with us, and it was a very tough decision. But they just were having attitude issues. They weren't performing in scrims, and we had to do it. And it's unfortunate because I'm friends with this person, and I've teamed with them a lot before, but some things just have to happen. And while I will say that sometimes you gotta kick people, but after one scrim, if someone's not doing well, you got to give them time to improve. You can't just like have someone with one bad game and say you're off the team, because then you'll be making changes every day. Everyone has a bad game. I've had tons of bad games, probably more than other people. I have a lot of bad games, but roster moves, just be careful with them if you were trying to get a good team.
I think to kind of supplement that quick is, like you were saying, don't let one bad experience or performance dictate that entire person's ability. But along with that, maybe if somebody's not performing well, or maybe something's going on outside of it, doesn't necessarily mean that if you're somebody out there who's on a team or starting a team or wants to be on a team, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be kicked or you need to kick them, but maybe say, hey, we're going to try somebody else in this spot. You kind of sort out what you need to do. If in another scrim, you can try them again. Another couple scrims, you can try them again. But you don't necessarily have to kick them. You can also just kind of ask them to take a step back and reevaluate like where they're at, if this is still where they want to be, if this is still what they want to do, and then maybe look at it after you've trialed some other people just to see, well, do we like this guy enough to keep him around, or should we try and look at maybe benching him for a little bit or replacing him? I think that's another option that people could definitely do if they don't want to just outright kick somebody.
100%. I mean, that's sort of how we did it. It ended up being pretty snake-like in the way it went down, but because my teammates' Discord just broke around the time we decided to, put him on the bench, so we couldn't tell him. So he didn't know we were trialing other people. I mean, he had to have assumed that we were still scrimming, because it was down for probably a week, and eventually he got it fixed, and we talked, and he said that he was disappointed in his performance as well and was gonna step back anyway. So it ended up working out, but you be upfront with people. You got to tell them that they are making mistakes, and that those need to be fixed, or you might look for other options. But you can't just kick them without telling them what they did wrong, or else they're not going to learn anything, and you will be making roster moves too much to ever build chemistry like with that mindset.
Yes. Speaking of other options, if you're somebody who's trying out for teams, and you're trying out for a team and you have like another tryout that week, tell the team you're trying out for that you're also trying out for other teams. Don't leave them in the dark, because if they decide to pick you up and then they start planning around, oh, well, that we just canceled all of our other tryouts because we want you, or something like that, and then you were like, oh, hey, well, I just joined this other team the next day. That's, I think, I don't know what the word to look, unprofessional? I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to use it. But I just be honest and open about if you're an aspiring player about what your intentions are. So that way the team that is seeking you out, you're not letting them down, and you're not building that kind of reputation for yourself. Just a word of advice.
Hey, Bob, at least I learned from my mistakes.
I'm not talking about you. You have anything to add, North?
No, I think you guys nailed it on the head. Honestly, there's a lot to be said about having a good team, for sure.
Yeah. But I think if you guys don't have anything else, it's going to wrap up this episode.
All right.
So
Sounds good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you to everybody for tuning into episode 4. If, like I said before at the beginning of the podcast, if you guys have questions that you would like to ask us, join our Discord. You can ask them in there, or you can just drop a comment on our YouTube video, or even tweet at us. And Cosmic, I will link your socials down in the description. Put in
Alright.
Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever you want. Just we'll throw it down there so you guys can check him out. Give him a follow or a subscription if you haven't already. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode.